tall person. Good afternoon. I'm so happy to see everyone here. My name is Larissa Armstrong. My pronouns are she and her. I served as the chair of the search committee, along with my fellow committee members, and I'm going to call you out and embarrass you a little bit. If you would please stand when I say your name. Sarah Curtis, Barb Dallinger, Ella Escobedo, Doug Lamb, Pamela Muirhead, and Casey Radliff. I got to serve on the committee with all these wonderful people to select Reverend Gant as our minister. Okay, you guys can sit back down. On behalf of the search committee and the rest of the congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal, I am honored to welcome you all here to the long-awaited formal installation of Reverend Rebecca Gant. After 2 years of stress, isolation, and uncertainty from the COVID pandemic, it is a joy to have so many UUBN congregants, visiting clergy, and the friends and family of Reverend Rebecca Gant here to celebrate with us today. Woo-hoo. A little housekeeping, because what is a UU service welcome without some guidelines? We are holding the event outside to maintain COVID safety for all attendees, and so that we can see each other's smiling faces for this momentous occasion. You can remain unmasked during the service if you are comfortable with that, but we do ask that everyone put masks on prior to singing, and masks are also required inside the church, so please put your mask on before entering the building. Again, we are so happy to have you all here today to formally install Reverend Rebecca Gant as our minister. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope that you will stay after the ceremony for fellowship.
Good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon, you Church of Bloomington Normal. My name is Reverend Marcus Foliano, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. This was my first congregation 10 years ago, where I was introduced to Unitarian Universalism, and today I'm thrilled to be here on behalf of the President of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick Gray, and all of our staff at our national organization. This is a thrill to be able to be here for this moment. We at the UUA are supporting our congregations for vital ministry and training up our leaders for the future. And this is one of those opportunities that we're able to hold our congregations, the system, for finding our ministers. And we are thrilled to be with you all today.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. I am Reverend John Coffey. I'm a community minister based in Knoxville, Tennessee. I serve our congregation, the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church there. I also work for Meadville Lombard Theological School, both mine and Reverend Rebecca's alma mater. Reverend Rebecca has been a friend of mine and a colleague for over 12 years. It doesn't feel like it. Going back to our home congregation, to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Lawrence, Kansas. I bring greetings from my congregation, from Meadville Lombard Theological School, and from a shared friendship that in many ways symbolizes the manner in which so many paths of Unitarian Universalism in our tradition meet and mingle and separate, diverge, and come back together again. I also bring proxy greetings from the Reverend Sharon K. Dittmer of the Midwest Region staff of the UUA and the Unitarian Universalist Association. Reverend Dittmer serves as the regional primary contact for your congregation, and we are both delighted to be celebrating the installation of Reverend Rebecca Gant as the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal, Illinois. Reverend Dittmer writes that since the congregation's founding in 1859, you have had an outsized role in local, state, and national politics and education. The installation of a minister is a significant moment in the life of any congregation. It represents a profound commitment that the congregation and clergy alike make to one another for a shared partnership to live the mission and ministry of the congregation together. May this be a momentous day for both minister and congregation alike, and as so many paths meet and merge on this joyful occasion.
Good afternoon, I'm Rabbi Rebecca Duval, and it's so good to be here with all of you. On behalf of the McLean County Interfaith Alliance, we warmly bless and welcome Reverend Rebecca Gant to the Bloomington Normal community. We are leaders of various faith communities here in town, and our mission is to create sacred time and space where we can all sit around the table, talk, listen, and learn from one another. In times of conflict and difficult challenges, the least we can do is strengthen the Bloomington Normal community, where diversity of faith and identity are embraced. Today we say, Bucha Haba'a. Welcome, Reverend Rebecca Gant, as you join us at the table. We look forward to learning and sharing with you for the years to come. By the way, my congregation is across the street, for those who know, MMT, and your congregation will have to be very clear as to who your faith leader is. Is it Reverend Rebecca, or is it Rabbi Rebecca?
The ritual of welcoming and honoring ancestors is an ancient spiritual practice found in so many cultures and traditions. Thus, we begin this ceremony by recognizing and calling on our ancestors with our presence and their blessings.
From our histories, our ancestors call to us asking whence we come and how and whither. We are grateful for their gifts, their lessons, and their challenges, calling us into accountability and responsibility to fulfill their hopes and aspirations for what they dreamed be ours to do. And we now invoke their presence here.
We call on you, O ancestors of this place, and of all the places we come from, all the way back to Africa through the creation of the world and into the stars.
We call on you, O ancestors of our blood and our bone and our breath and all of the spirit of life.
We call on you, O ancestors of all the peoples of Bloomington Normal, those who strove to build beloved community, representing diverse cultures and traditions, especially the indigenous community of the Kickapoo people and other peoples known and unknown from these traditional lands that we live upon.
We call upon you, our activist ancestors, those who struggled and fought and died for justice and the freedom and the liberation of all people, and who challenge us to honor the fullness of each and every human being.
We call upon you, our early Unitarian and Universalist ancestors, lay people, ministers, who brought forth and built our faith traditions here in Illinois and in the Midwest of these United States.
We call on you, our beloved ancestors of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal, who dreamed, birthed, and nurtured this church and this community into being.
We call upon you, our beloved ministerial ancestors, who taught us and handed down passionate fires of faith and hope, which are kindled in the chalices of our own ministries.
We welcome you, O great cloud of witnesses, to join us here and now for the installation of the Reverend Rebecca Gant.
O ancestors, we ask you to bless this ministry, this sacred covenant between this minister and this congregation, so that they may grow together in wisdom and strength to do the work of our faith in this world. Bless them and bless us, that we may lift each other's burdens and be guided in each other's paths.
We ask now that the participants gathered here and everywhere to please join us in saying together, "Ancestors, be with us and bless us." Please say,
Ancestors, be with us and bless us.
"The ancestors are with us and we are blessed."
We light this chalice flame this afternoon to remind us to be present in this moment, the link between what was and what yet shall be. May this flame gather us in and hold us in joy and gratitude.
I'm Sharina, Director of Lifespan Religious Education. My pronouns, there we go. My pronouns are she, her, and I have a story that I'm going to need a little help telling. Now, Ella and Lizzie have already volunteered to be the river, so if they could come on up. Since Ella is my daughter, I often say she was voluntold, but I really do ask. We are a consent-based family. She is allowed to say no. You could take this in and head down the aisle. Just stand down the aisle. There you go. So now we have a river, but we have a few other parts. These parts are really easy. You just have to hold your animal and come up to the river when I call your animal out. So who would like to be the bear? The story gets longer the longer it takes. Oh, Joe, you said you wouldn't. I appreciate you. a couple raccoons?
Oh, I'm a raccoon.
Raccoons? Larissa, you're a raccoon?
Absolutely. 100%.
I need some turtles. Turtles. Mercy's going to be a turtle. I see someone else. Kojo. Kojo's going to be a turtle.
Do I have to walk slowly?
We have a beaver that Alejo was also volunteered for. Alejo, where's Alejo? There's Alejo. And I have a frog and a duck. Who wants to be a frog and a duck? Frog?
Somebody.
Okay, so when I call your animal name, you'll come up and join the river. But what about everybody else? You can't just sit there. No. Okay, so there's a part of the story where I'm going to say, oh no, what's that up ahead? And you're going to respond with shock and surprise. But we're going to practice that. Oh no, what's that up ahead? Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now, the other thing I need you to do is while you listen to the story, I need you to think about where you are. Do you see yourself in this story? Do you see other members of our congregation in this story? So think about your part in the story I'm about to tell. Are we ready? Think we can do this?
Oh, yeah.
Bear came along. Once there was a river that flowed night and day. It flowed. It flowed. Gentle river, night and day. But it didn't know it was a river until Bear came along. Bear was just being curious when he realized what the river could do. But he didn't know he was on an adventure until Froggy hopped on. Froggy hopped on. Froggy was a lonely frog who was looking for a friend, but she didn't know how many she had until the turtle showed up. The turtles tried to warn them about the things that could go wrong, but they didn't know how to enjoy the ride until Beaver climbed aboard. Beaver was born to captain. He knew exactly where to go, but he didn't know about the detours until the raccoons dropped in. The raccoons were so excited about the twists and turns ahead, but they didn't know they had to be careful until they crashed into Duck. Duck was so content being right where she was, but she didn't know there was a world to see.
Oh, I wish I had a puppet or something. Our reading today is a poem by Marge Piercy entitled To Be of Use. The people I love best jump into work head first, without dallying in the shallows, and swim off with sure strokes almost out of sight. They seem to become natives of that element, the black, sleek heads of seals, bouncing like half-submerged balls. I love people who harness themselves,
an ox to a heavy cart, who pull like water buffalo with massive patience, who strain in the mud and the muck to move things forward, who do what has to be done again and again. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the fields to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing well done has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. The pitcher cries for water to carry, and a person for work that is real.
Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn are put in museums, but you know they were made to be used. Those amphoras may not be the only things headed for the museum. The British poet Philip Larkin wonders, when churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into. If we shall keep a few cathedrals chronically on show, their parchment, plate, and pyx in locked cases, and let the rest rent free to rein in sheep, shall we avoid them as unlucky places? Or after dark will dubious women come to make their children touch a particular stone, pick simples for a cancer, or on some advised night see walking a dead one? I should confess that there is a certain self-consciousness standing here in the waning years of my own ministry to ponder the future of the institutional church. We are, after all, gathered here to celebrate the formation of a covenant and the launching of a journey in the context of formal religious community, which only makes any sense if we expect that institution to endure somehow, meaningfully, into the future, and to continue to require specialized leadership. The arguments against that expectation are plentiful, and they arose in their latest forms well prior to the advent of the COVID pandemic, although that historical landmark has amplified some of them. We who have been practicing the vocation of religious leadership during the course of this cultural watershed, including Rebecca, have cause to be aware that the landscape of faith community has shifted around us in unprecedented ways during this time. We must be about the business of reorienting ourselves now. What has changed irretrievably for our people and for our communities? Do they need something different from us? And if so, what is it? Are there basics we can go back to that have not changed? How have we altered as people? Or has our role as clergy in community and society shifted? Is our guidance still important? Or have we been rendered irrelevant in this secular technological age? Does the sacred space that we curate and I use that word advisedly, matter anymore. Let me be clear that I do not see any occasion to suppose that the essential nature of the human condition has been altered. The existential problems that have always confronted our forebears, our ancestors, confront us still. Death, suffering, desire, meaning, promises, choices, power, aspiration, love. We are still that kind of creatures, still pestered and stumped by the same cosmic trick questions, still bound together in the open limbic loop of a social species, still negotiating our unique identities out of and amidst that interdependent web and that longing for beloved community. The coronavirus didn't change any of that. Nor has globalization or the climate crisis or the explosions of technology or anything else that preceded it. However, I don't know about you, but I am not storing my olive oil in carved stone vases or my corn dried in woven baskets. Things wind up in museums because in some way the culture moves on. And there is also the human impulse toward anamnesis, the act of not forgetting that informs ritual and myth and poetry, all of which concerns us this afternoon. The form of things changes, even when the things themselves do not. So let us consider what Larkin calls later in his poem about church-going, this accoutered, frowsty barn, which he claims once held marriage and birth and death and thoughts of these. Back in the day when I began as a minister, weddings, for instance, were a frequent element of this work. Occasionally for our own church members, of course, but far more frequently for couples who either had no church affiliation of their own or were in circumstances like second marriages, living together or already having a child together, or racially or religiously mixed couples such that their most familiar church or denomination refused to celebrate their marriage. I enjoyed those weddings, even with their often elaborate preparations, because I took satisfaction in helping people to experience what a liberal, accepting religious community could offer, and the value that competent ministry could add to their experience of getting married. Today, I can count on one hand the number of weddings I am called upon to perform in a year for people not already connected to our congregation. And recently, the most of those have been for couples experiencing homelessness, who find that their bureaucratic chances for subsidized housing are better if they can show that they are married. Couples who have no pre-existing personal or family church affiliations are being married by their professors, their relatives, their bosses, their friends, or their DJ, or whatever judge is available at the courthouse. And of course, lately, as with everything else, online. The carved out sacred space of the church just isn't relevant in the way it once was. I am far more likely to be asked something like, my granddaughter wants me to do a reading at her wedding. Can you suggest some appropriate options? The same phenomenon is occurring somewhat more slowly with regard to funerals and memorial services. I suspect that when the generation that has substituted wedding planners and event spaces for sanctuaries and clergy in their marrying come to plan their own departures from this life or to make their arrangements for loved ones, the choice will divide about evenly between funeral homes and favorite bars, with friends and relatives pressed into service as DJs. We long ago stopped laying our loved ones to rest in the church-side graveyard, where burying was a physical act that served to metabolize grief for all present, and where their proximity maintained a sense of continued connection between the dead and their living community. Now, the neatness of cremation eliminates the unwieldiness of coffins and the time pressure of decomposition. The expectation of sacred space dedicated to the contemplation of mortality, either one's own or others, is likewise evaporating. The death professionals are taking over from the multi-purpose minister, and one more strand in the web that once connected the cradle to the coffin is severed. I wonder, when churches fall completely out of use, what we shall turn them into. Rebecca, it is not my intention to be the raven's croak of doom, nor was it Larkin's message either. Rather, he observes of the accoutered frowsty barn he is visiting that it pleases me to stand in silence here. And he continues, a serious house on serious earth it is, in whose blent air all our compulsions meet, are recognized and robed as destinies. And that much never can be obsolete, since someone will forever be surprising a hunger in himself to be more serious, and gravitating with it to this ground, which he once heard was proper to grow wise in, if only that so many dead lie round. This, it seems to me, is the work of religious community, whatever form it may take in the culture of the time, to curate the practice of reverence that can satisfy our eternal, surprising hunger to be more serious, and to provide the ground that is proper to grow wise in. I want to suggest to you and to all of us on this auspicious afternoon that if we would build such a serious house on serious earth, we must undertake Marge Piercy's call to be part of the work of the world, reaching out with a compassionate and practical response to the needs of those around us. Without that commitment to lived reverence, we shall never reach life's deepest and highest wisdom, either individually or collectively. Such service to others may or may not change the world. What is certain is that it transforms those who do it. The church must be a place that summons us to generosity and action on behalf of others, not stridently, but with a gentle, persistent witness that this is the tangible mission that weaves the enduring bonds of community. Also, when we seek to grow wise, it helps to be surrounded by things of lasting value, to have a history and a heritage. It helps to have before us examples of excellence, beautiful objects, fine craftsmanship, and attention to detail and quality that makes something worth preserving for a long time, even when its original purpose was mundane, like those Greek amphoras and Hopi baskets. We must build for lasting beauty in our relationships, in our architecture, in our language, in the artifacts of our common life. And we must know and honor the stories of what binds us together in that common life through a shared history. We need the legacy of great deeds that inspire us, of heroes who show us by their example what human excellence is, and what we ourselves might yet become. These aspirations are the beginning of our growing wise, and the place where they are held enduringly important is a place proper to grow wise in. Another element for the building of our serious house is a commitment to the value of reverence. It is through reverent use of authority that the deepest teaching and the most authentic leadership is accomplished. It is reverence that robes our recognized compulsions as sacred destinies. Reverence that holds marriage and birth and death and thoughts of these in an enduring and equable balance. The hunger to be more serious begins in the recognition that there are forces at work in life larger than our own individual wills. And to grow wise is to know that happiness and integrity are found in cooperation with those forces. A place proper to grow wise in holds that awareness quietly and steadily before our eyes, and those who exercise authority within it never forget that to lead is to serve. Along with their elegant wine jars, the ancient Greeks produced a philosophical concept named sophrosone. This word is often mistranslated as temperance, but what it really means is self-knowledge in the service of self-control. This is the fruit of the inner life of spiritual maturity, that we come to understand our own motivations, temptations, longings, and fears, not for the sake of satisfying or alleviating them, so much as that we may make our choices freely, not held hostage by our own unexamined impulses. Thus it is that our compulsions meet, are recognized, and robed as destinies. We shall grow wise together as we learn to see clearly into our own hearts through the process of reverent reflection that is the unchanging purpose of spiritual practice in covenant community that never can be obsolete. My friends, today we celebrate, belatedly but nonetheless gladly, the commencement of a ministry. This is a sacred celebration, a time not only for rejoicing, but also a moment proper to grow wise in. May it be for all of us a renewal and a deepening of our commitment to the work of reverence and spiritual growth, and to the safeguarding of all that is of enduring beauty and worth. May we be about the task of building that serious house on serious earth, where puzzled folk, minister and people both together, may bring our own surprising hunger that never can be obsolete, to be taken seriously in our quest for wisdom, for lives that matter, for the work which is the most real and sacred thing that we know.
Through the history of our tradition, people of all backgrounds and identities have felt the deep call to serve, the call to ministry, the call to contribute to something that serves the work of the world. And yet, until recently, this sacred work, the role that this congregation is entrusting to Reverend Rebecca, was only available to the elect few, the white, the male, the middle or upper class. And as a result, who knows what countless voices we missed out on over the centuries. What inspiration, what leadership that our faith could have been shaped by. We have thankfully come far since those early days, with more than half of UU ministers ordained today being women, and with committed leaders inspiring ongoing efforts to center the vital ministries of UUs of marginalized gender, sexuality, and racial categories. The call to ministry does not discriminate. It comes to the hearts of UUs in every class and category. And yet there are still many, many UUs who hear the call and never make it into any pulpit. The road to ministry is long and hard, and becoming a UU minister can be financially grueling. We UUs require our ministers to have a Master's of Divinity, which means beginning their careers with an average of $55,000 in student debt. It's a simple fact that not everyone can afford to take on that debt. And we are missing out on the voices of working class UUs, Black, Indigenous, and UUs of color. Not everyone can afford to become a minister. And we can't afford to lose them. It is terrible to know that there is immeasurable potential and invaluable lives we will never get to see come to their full fruition. And don't you wish there was something we could do? Thankfully, blessedly, there is. The Living Tradition Fund provides scholarships to UU seminarians, financial support to UU religious professionals facing crushing debt or family financial crises. It's a fund that has saved the careers, the sanity, and the lives of countless UU ministers. Amen. Voices our tradition otherwise would never have had a chance to hear. Today we will pass the plate, and what we collect will be split between the Living Tradition Fund and the Black Lives of UU Organizing Collective, another UU organization providing real, needed, practical support to leaders facing barriers within our faith tradition. Reverend Rebecca is overjoyed to be installed here today as your minister. This is a beautiful milestone in her long path to ministry, and she is not someone to pull up the ladder behind her. She instead wants to dedicate this moment in her own journey to helping those who are striving to follow the same path. She's a generous spirit, and I know that all those she has gathered here are capable of great generosity as well. Here is my wish, that each of us here today finds a way to be even more generous than we had planned when we left the house this rainy morning. If you were going to write a check for $50, make it $100. If you were going to put $10 in the plate, pull out a 20 or two 20s. This is a celebration of the ministry that this congregation will share with Rebecca. It is a commitment to a larger faith tradition, to a future that continues to expand beyond the limitations of our history. It is my honor to make my own contribution and to ask you for yours. Checks can be made out to UUBN with installation offering in the memo line, or if you're a church member connected through the Vanco mobile app, you can donate through there. Here is mine. Know that your generosity is everything. It is everything. And thank you for all you're able to give.
to move here? Often? Thank you. Me neither. I think we can be up here. Okay. Welcome. My name is Claire Hedden. I'm board president here at UUBN. My pronouns are she, her. Today we gather to install the Reverend Rebecca Gant as the 26th settled minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal. Reverend Rebecca's journey to us includes the loving support of other UU congregations, family, friends, and colleagues. We are reminded that UUBN is fortunate to be part of the larger web of UU religious community. With this act of installation, we rededicate ourselves to the larger living tradition of Unitarian Universalism. And although today we will recognize Reverend Rebecca as our duly installed and settled minister, the ministry of this congregation belongs to all of us.
Yes.
So I ask members of UUBN, are you ready to covenant together in this shared ministry? We are. Wonderful. Reverend Rebecca, we have chosen you as our minister. We have called you to live among us, to make our concerns your concerns, and to lead us as you are able in the paths of hope, righteousness, and peace. We offer you a free pulpit, the cooperation of our hearts and hands, and our resolute goodwill as you continue your work among us. This act of installation is a symbol of the covenant between the congregation and our chosen minister. It is with great joy that we affirm this relationship today. Are you prepared to accept the invitation of this congregation to its ministry?
I am.
I'm so glad you said that. Members of UUBN, please rise in body or spirit and join me in reading the words found in your order of service. We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal, do hereby install you, the Reverend Rebecca Gant, as the minister of our congregation. We call you to dwell among us, speaking the truth in freedom and love, ministering to us in our joys and sorrows, expressing the wonder and mystery of life, and encouraging each of us to fulfill our unique ministries. We would have you lead us into a deeper connection with everything holy and into a wider commitment to justice and compassion. We will support you as we support one another. We pledge ourselves to join you in embracing the ways of truth, justice, and love, so that together we might be a blessing to the world. With profound gratitude for the many who have come before me, I joyfully take up the ministry to which you have called me. I pledge myself anew to a love which has no limit and requires me to do justice, practice mercy, and walk humbly upon the earth. I offer my hands and my heart to the work of compassion, co-creation, cooperation, and companionship. May I be worthy of your trust as we go forth into a future of hope and possibility. Will all who wish to add their love and encouragement to this ceremony please rise in body or spirit and join in affirmation of this installation. In the beauty of this spring afternoon, we, the gathered congregation of friends, family, and colleagues, recognize and affirm you as the minister of this congregation. We rejoice with you on this occasion and offer you our continuing prayers, friendship, and support. May your ministry be a blessing to this congregation and to the world. And let the people say, Amen. Amen.
think I'm pulling up the shortest person that's been up here so far. I'm just going to take it off. Too many things, not enough hands. I'm Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, and it's a pleasure to be with all of you today. We're going to embody what we just said. So you've heard the words of the installation for Reverend Rebecca Gant and this congregation, and I invite you now to help us embody this commitment in a ritual of shared ministry that includes all of us. So I'm going to invite you because the covenant we celebrate today is also a covenant of our shared faith community. Each of us is woven into the fabric of this tenacious love and its quest for justice, which we live into together, a garment of the beloved community. So I will invite each of you to embody these connections as I invite you to join Reverend Rebecca and her community in a laying on of hands. When I call on you, you can join by standing and coming forward to lay a hand on the shoulder of someone in front of you, but you need not move from your seat, and you may opt to send and receive the energy of love in this web of loved ones by simply holding your hands up. So if it works for you to come forward and touch the shoulder of someone in front of you, do that, or do it from where you're sitting. If it works for you to sit where you are and hold your hands up, do what's comfortable for you. And I want to begin first by inviting Claire to come join Rebecca. Yeah, come on in front. And just lay your hand on Rebecca's shoulder. And I want to invite Joe to come forward. Your partner in life and in ministry. And I want to invite any family of Rebecca's to come join Joe on her right side in whatever way works for you. Team that helped bring Rebecca here, or you serve on the board or some other leadership, come join Claire on the left side here. Spread out however you want. There's plenty of room back here too if you want to pull the train back around here. Colleagues who are here, I invite you to join as well, and you may want to come in around the back side here. Friends and colleagues from all over the country who've traveled from many places to be here, from Kansas and Illinois and Georgia and Michigan and Wisconsin and Colorado, so many places. Please join us in the web. And now any members of this community, folks from UUBN, folks connected to UUBN's work, find your way to be connected either from your seat with your hands in the air or come touch somebody's shoulder, however you want to connect in. This gathering spans many different parts of the country and many different experiences in Reverend Rebecca's journey here, as well as many leaders and shared ministries in the life of Unitarian Universalist Church of Bloomington Normal. This is the shape of shared ministry, the vessel that carries our love and aspirations and prayers into the work we engage and the relationships we grow. May we too move in common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out, when we are needed. May we too see more clearly and be more wise. May we too let the winds of change move us and remind us of the things worth doing well. Let us be the ones to carry the water, to share the work, this everyday work that is ministry, that is love, that is holy, that is real. May this partnership be one in which all remain open and willing to do the work of shared ministry maintaining a sense of hope in honor of those whose legacies we inherit and hope to fulfill. May we too offer our hands and our hearts to the work of compassion and co-creation, cooperation and companionship, in the name of all that is holy and the service of all that lives. May we each and all be lifted to the light of change. Amen. Blessed be Ashe. And move carefully back to your seats.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Matthew Johnson. I serve our congregation in Rockford, Illinois. And I first met Rebecca when she was a student at leadership school 11 years ago. We took a walk to talk about what it meant to become a minister. I was not the first one to say, when do you begin seminary? But in a long chain of folks who recognize that potential. And boy, it's a pleasure to be here today. Also say that 19 years ago, Reverend Dr. Kendall Gibbons preached on that text, Church Going by Phil Barkin, at my ordination and installation. And that weaving together, you mentioned, John, of these folks who are here, and you're part of that community, that ongoing quest to discover what is wise in us and one another. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up in the light of change. I am tasked with giving you, Reverend Rebecca Gant, instructions on the occasion of your installation as the minister of this church. As your mentor, I get to give you instructions pretty much every month. So what can I add today to what I've already said? So I'm taking as my text for this charge to the minister these lyrics by Holly Near, which you heard in the offertory a moment ago. To be hopeless would be so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. I'm not sure that after the last 2 years feeling a little hopeless would seem that strange. It's been rough. Division and destruction, death and despair. We've put on a brave face. You've done great work here, entering a ministry when it was fully remote. But it's been hard everywhere. And hopelessness for our democracy, for our collective care for each other, for the earth on fire, seems like a perfectly reasonable response. But it dishonors those who go before us. Our predecessors in this ministry are on my mind today on this occasion, and I don't just mean those 25 other settled ministers who have served this church in Bloomington Normal or my predecessors in Rockford. I mean all of them. Going back hundreds of years in this tradition, men, women, people who were faithful to their conscience, who met the moment, who faced revolution, civil war, Cold War, depression, panic, disease, who made their congregations stops on the Underground Railroad, who marched in Selma, who formed the backbone of the clergy consultative service, directing people who needed abortions to doctors who would perform them before 1973 were dusting off the old plans. Women who served our congregations before they were allowed to vote. People who preached with fame and those who toiled in obscurity. Not all of those who went before us are models, of course. Some isolated themselves, some inflated their egos at the expense of others, and far too many abused their trust and role to gratify their lusts. We are aware of the dangers and disasters which litter the roads of the past. But there are also so many beautiful way stations. Faithful, loving, courageous examples of what it is to do this work in hard times. To be faithful to God, not Caesar. To love your people for their sake and not our own. To preach the truth as we see it, to learn something new all the time, to organize, to collaborate, to bear witness. Did they sometimes feel hopeless? Yes, of course they did. And they prayed, and they met with their colleagues, and they read, and they took a walk in the woods, and they took a nap, a sabbatical, a long nap, and they came back at it. And it was beautiful. And it is beautiful. Here's the thing. Someday in the future, in the grand scheme of things, not that long from now, or maybe long from now, someone will do this work, this beautiful, hard, life-giving work, and they will think of those who went before, and they will draw inspiration and courage from that example, and the person they are thinking of will be you. Yeah, it's true. It's true. You, your work, your ministry is a blessing to the now and to the future and to generations yet to come. So this is my charge. Be hopeful despite everything. Be inspired by our predecessors and our contemporaries and by those who we think we are teaching but who are teaching us. In this ministry, in this midst of everything, to remember that this is holy work. This is worthy work. This is loving work. I think of a short poem by Susan J. Erickson who writes, I confess today I got lost in technicalities. Like folding an origami crane, I paid so much attention to folding, bending, and creasing the right way that I didn't notice I was creating a colorful creature with wings to fly and soar. Tomorrow let me be aware of the miracles that unfold. So, it's for you, put on your desk. Don't forget, this is my charge. Your ministry is unfolding miracles for today and tomorrow. You will give your people hope even when you feel hopeless. It's true. You will. They will remember your love and your heart long after you are gone from here. After they forget your name, they will remember your heart. It will live in those walls and in the people who will come here seeking hope when times are hard again. So be aware of the miracles you are unfolding and love them and be not afraid. I am so happy for you and for this church and offer my most sincere blessings on this day.
This is a big day for all of us. As Rebecca's minister when she joined her first UU congregation, I assure you that none of us there were surprised when she finally announced her decision to enter the ministry. Right? We'd already known for years. And we're thrilled to see Reverend Rebecca happily installed in ministry with this healthy, vibrant UU congregation. Bless you for recognizing and affirming the gift of her ministry. It's a chaotic time for new beginnings. It seems like almost every week a new horror is visited upon us by a court, a power-hungry leader, the random workings of the natural world, bringing new or enhanced ways to harm the vulnerable, which is ultimately all of us. In the process, we have been changed. The ways we do church have changed. As an institution, we've always looked to the past to guide us in serving the future. Yet, today I'm reminded of these words by Anthony de Mello. The explorer returned to his people, who were eager to know about the Amazon. But how could he ever put into words the feelings that flooded his heart when he saw exotic flowers and heard the night sounds of the forests, when he sensed the danger of wild beasts or paddled his canoe over the treacherous rapids? He said, "Go and find out for yourselves." To guide them, he drew a map of the river. They pounced upon the map. They made copies of it for themselves. And all who had a copy considered themselves experts on the river. For did they not know its every turn and bend, how broad it was and how deep, where the rapids were and where the falls? I charge you, UUBN, as you forge together into this great unknown, to be aware that maps, or the way we've always done it, may no longer serve you well. Dare to cultivate your sense of adventure. And I charge you to honor the trauma that these last 2 years have wrought. As a congregation, you have found new strengths, unexpected skills, creative solutions, a new minister. But this has also been a time of great loss on many levels. Attend to your grief. Proceed together not with lowered, but with open expectations. Dare to be vulnerable with one another. Expect to both give and to receive an abundance of grace. And even as you relish the comforting familiarity of being physically together in beloved community, I charge you also to boldly engage with the world beyond your cherished walls. If there were ever a time that the world needed your witness, if there were ever a time that it needs your compassion and your action, if there were ever a time that a deeply wounded human community longed for a saving faith, that time is now. Reach out. Show up. Respond. And finally, UUBN, I charge you to work faithfully with your minister to live into your shared ministry. Your mission belongs to you, and Reverend Rebecca is here to support and inspire and challenge and learn. Nurture an awareness that you share this ministry even when, especially when, you have to make it up together as you go. Ask questions. Stay curious. Talk with each other, not about each other. And don't forget to laugh. I promise you that Reverend Rebecca, in her own gentle, compassionate way, is blessed with an irreverent sense of humor that will serve you all well during the hard times. Your bold, creative, loving, shared journey is already well and wonderfully underway. Today we celebrate that faithful new beginning and look forward with joyful anticipation to all that's possible to you as co-creators of a better future.
let us sing together again. Please put your mask on to protect yourself and those around you. And let's rise in body or spirit and sing Life Calls Us On. The lyrics are in your order of service.
We would like to present Reverend Gant with a gift from the congregation of UUBN. Reverend Gant, will you join me? Desk lamp for Reverend Gant to light her work and for her to shut off when it is time to rest.
On behalf of the religious education families, from your first day, you included families, children, youth, and young adults in your worship and in decisions you made. You, from the very beginning, said, You were a huge supporter of our whole life sexuality education. You wanted to know how we could do more than our welcoming congregation renewal required. And when I came to you and said, can we do the Gender Expansive Resource Center with Prairie Pride Coalition so that we can support our transgender community, you said, when can we start? And so this seems like the perfect gift from our RE family. You'll be surprised, I'm sure. It's hard to surprise someone when you need their measurements.
Keeping up the suspense. Claire said that they had gifts for me, and I said, this whole day has been a gift already. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ella Escobedo. I had the honor of being on the search committee, and I would like to invite everyone to join me in saying the extinguishing chalice words that should be at the bottom of page 4 in the order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts always.
Oh, what a beautiful day. Whew. So as soon as I'm finished talking, we have some music for you from a Kansas songwriter, singer-songwriter, blues singer called Kelly Hunt, and we're going to play a recording of that for you tonight, and it's very danceable, and so I hope dance in your seats, stand up and dance, but make your way back. There's a reception that will be just in the back of the tent. And before I give the benediction, I need to express my enormous thank you to the Installation Planning Committee. Can I get a round of applause? We transferred the infrastructure that exists in our sanctuary here, and that's no small feat. And every detail was beautifully realized here, and I am so appreciative. So, the benediction. May you go from here with the blessing of this gathered community, and know that you and that we all are an integral part of the tapestry of love and miracle and mystery. May you go from here and share that very good news with our hurting and troubled world. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.